Good morning, Philippines. Well, it's Sunday, and it's cooler here now. There's a new front coming through. It doesn't look like it's going to create a typhoon or anything like that, but cooler weather for the next few days is going to be throughout the Visayas. So that's a nice welcome relief. Cut down on the air conditioning bill, which, by the way, my air conditioning bill was lower last month. Amazingly, it was only 6,000 pesos. We have three air conditioners that go all the time here with the kids, so it's quite a draw. Usually, I usually get around 8,000, 9,000 pesos. So, but then again, we took a week off and went to Magedi. So, yeah. Before I continue, please remind you to like, share, and subscribe, so we can provide more of these what I consider different topics about the Philippines. You can look at rental accommodations and who's cheating on who and what gossip is going on all the other blogging channels. But I'm trying to provide something that might be relevant to you. And today's topic is one of the major blights on the Philippines that is constantly brought up, and tourists are considered that this is a major hurdle in coming here, as opposed to picking, say, Bali or Singapore or somewhere else. And that is garbage. 18 million tons of garbage were produced in 2020, and they predict about 23 million tons or more by 2025. And the average Philippine is household is producing about 0.4 kilograms of garbage every day. And when you compare that to Singapore, which is supposedly nice, a lot cleaner, in Singapore they're producing 3.72 kilograms of garbage every day. So there's a significant difference, and yet 19 rivers in the Philippines are the top plastic polluters. So why is this? Well, I think largely it's due to non-enforcement. In 23 years, 3 presidents of this republic have failed to be able to produce anything meaningful change. And even with the passage of the Republic Act 23 years ago, barangays, only 32% have waste recovery facilities. And despite that, there's 500,000 peso fine for polluting, or up to 5% of your net income for producing a significant pollution. There's no enforcement, and the crimes continue. As of November 2021, there was a 65% approval on waste management plans in the Philippines. And by 2018, only 22% of barangays have access to sanitary landfills. And there are over 353 illegal garbage sites as of 2018, and who knows, possibly more they don't know about. So we recently did a beach cleanup in Darwin, and there are largely foreigners going around with garbage bags and picking up garbage. And if you go throughout the Philippines, you'll notice in banks there may be a garbage can next to the ATM, but other than that, even hotels, public buildings, on busy street corners, you think that every McDonald's would be required to have a garbage can outside as well as inside, but no, there's a shortage of garbage cans. In fact, there's a concern that if they were to put metal garbage cans out, they would get stolen or used for other uses. So there's a lot of reuse of old feed bags and rice bags for garbage bags. We have door-to-door pickup here in our in our complex. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold here, and I've got a bad tooth I gotta get taken care of. But anyway, that's kind of distracting. So the big thing is attitudes. And for that, you have to understand the Philippine people and where they came from. Remember the 7,000 islands scattered all over the place. And if you're brought up in the jungle out in the provinces and you pick your coconuts or your papaya and you go home and you prepare it and you eat it, or your pig, or you eat that, whatever you cook, whatever garbage you had left, you would want to get it away from the house, first of all, because you don't want to be attracting snakes or vermin. So you want to be able to dispose it away from your little bamboo residence there. So you're going to bring it down. Well, what's going to carry it away? The river, the rivers. So that's why there's 19 rivers full of plastic now, because over time, the the Philippines has brought in more and more plastic wrapped goods, bottles, cans, all the rest of it. And they've just followed the same chain of disposal, with the idea that the solution to pollution was dilution. And it's becoming quite tragic now that the plastic situation is so drastic, and it's becoming tragic. So, what do? You start with the youth, you teach them, and there's a lot of them in the schools now. But if you're individually packaging everything, uh, it makes for much smaller but frequent contributions of plastics and microplastics into the environment. The Philippines is probably the worst place I've ever come across, and I've been throughout Asia, and there is a lot of it throughout Asia as well, of individually packaging, like little packets of shampoo as opposed to a shampoo bottle, little packages of candies and gums as opposed to buying a container full of them. So yeah, you can still buy big containers of cookies and stuff like that, but there's little 3 packs of Oreos and stuff like that. And I find bubble gum wrappers and stuff all over the place, because the kids, they're just, that's the way they've been brought up, is to just toss the stuff and nature will take care of it. And nature doesn't take care of it because plastic doesn't break down. So I don't think it's a question of governments being involved on the infrastructure side, but more on the educational side. And um, children need to be involved in cleanup operations. In my sons and daughters' school here in Cebu, I see the kids in the morning with the broom sweeping the leaves off the lawns, and there is a garbage bin container that on garbage day it's a mess. Things get scattered around, but they very quickly pick it up again. So there are efforts being made, but these are generational things, and until the youth wake up, it's kind of interesting to see, like when we were doing our beach garbage pickup. Um, yes, the foreigners, the tourists are coming here and dumping their garbage, and they should pick it up. But there were, cigarettes and broken bottles that were scattered in the sand that um I'm pretty sure that it came from the locals. And the locals would just stand by and watch as we picked up the garbage, going like, well, what's wrong with these guys? Rather than jump in and chip in. So there wasn't a lot of that unless they were recruited beforehand and it was part of the event. We didn't see some spontaneous uprising of local people saying, "Okay, here we're gonna clean." And there seems to be this attitude of, "Well, that's not my problem," and they walk by it, and that's pretty much modern life in every country these days. It's not unique to the Philippines, but the Philippines, it seems to be centered around garbage. If you were choking on something, or you were flailing around, yeah, they jump right in and help you. They're very helpful in that way. But the in terms of pollution, it's like, no, that's not my job. I'm not your servant. I don't want to do that. It's like it's demeaning, and they're losing face if they were to bend over and pick up a piece of garbage. And until that attitude changes, until they are understanding that you're not a slave, you're a hero to the Philippines in picking up this garbage. Um, in Malapascua at the tourist sites, we've I was watching one day, and the guy raked up all the sand on the beach, picked up all the seaweed and cans and bottles, everything like that, and then he dug a hole in the sand and buried it all and just covered it over and raked on top, hoping that eventually the tide will wash it away or it'd be somebody else's problem. I don't know. Now, burning garbage is illegal in the Philippines under the Clean Air Act, and what they're supposed to be doing is turning it in for recycling. And I think I said earlier, what is it? Only 5% of it is recycled, and only 32% of barangays have recycling facilities. So where do you go? What do you do, right? So some of that needs to be addressed, but understand the complexities of the Philippines. You've got all these individual islands that all require their own individual power, roads, access, ferries, all that stuff. These are other demands that a straight piece of land like even Cambodia or Thailand, they can put in a transit system that'll service the whole country if they want to. But it's much harder to do in the Philippines. And these things are being addressed. And over time, I'm sure they will conquer it. But recently, Boracay was shut down for a while they cleaned up all the beaches and changed some of the laws. So you couldn't eat on the beach or bring your food down the beach or smoke on the beach. And so efforts would be made. And I hear rumors now that it's getting dirty once more. So unless you have enforcement, and this country is one that's kind of, that's part of the attraction to it. It's a bit of the Wild West. You do get away with a lot, although occasionally you'll see the policemen on the side of the road catching people for not wearing their motorcycle helmets. But then, a little 100 pesos here, sir, sorry, I'll do it, remember next time, and you're good to go. That can happen too. So yeah, they acknowledge the fact that there is some corruption in government, and they're working on that as well. So for a private provider, if someone were to come in with a waste facility that would consume and burn all of the garbage and generate energy out of it, there's a possibility here for something like that. And also, as you get things like solar power coming to different islands and access by Starlink, this country is meant for these kind of technological advancements, and it's going to open up so many new areas of the country that were just left before. And so as the infrastructure develops, that won't be the problem. The only problem that remains is the mindset, and the older generation would just chuck it in the river and it'd be washed away, and that's somebody else's problem. But now I think the younger people are starting to wake up. Hopefully it's their future, and yeah, it's going to affect the tourism if it keeps up, because it is probably ranked one of the top, if not the top issue, when people are coming here to be diving in the most beautiful waters in the world. Snorkeling twice, I came up and there was a disposable diaper above me, so. And it's not all just the Philippines too, because things float around in that sea that are tossed off of boats that come by here all the time. So yeah, it's a real challenge, and it's funny because depending on what island you go to, there's some islands that are pristine, but I'm not going to tell you where they are because it won't be very long if everybody starts running out to them. But there's some reasonably trafficked areas that are reasonably clean that you can go to that are quite well publicized. Bantayan and Malapascua. Of course, you've all heard of Boracay and Palawan and Siargao and Bohol. And yeah, so more of these are coming up. Siquijor is up and coming. And so that's it for today. Like I say, like, share, and subscribe so I can provide new and interesting content. And you have a great day. Thank you. Bye bye.